How are you? If you build it, they shall come. Who's in charge of building it? Please.
No, that's what
She ran out the back door. Where do we go to the bathroom?
You gonna give us a toast this evening?
There you are. I'm home.
Let's make them come out. That's right. Make them come out.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the invocation of Pete Shoemaker of the Our Lady of Hope Parish. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight it gives me pleasure to open this conclave in the presence of Almighty God. And I am also privileged to be able to announce that Friday, the new charter school for Gloucester Township, the first charter school ever in the history of Gloucester Township, has gotten their building and have begun renovations and will be open in August 15th. So I thank God for that. I also thank God that in this state, the state of New Jersey ranks second in the United States for education. Number 2. And it's interesting that they don't stop there either, because our mayor, David Mayer, helped promote this school of leadership, the Kingdom Charter School of Leadership, to take it up another notch. So I'm proud to announce that tonight. Let us pray. Holy, merciful God, we are grateful to come tonight to serve in our community. You have called us to do so. Heavenly Father, I would ask your blessing on tonight's work, tonight's labor. Most importantly, Lord, I would ask your blessing on the men and women who serve on this panel as council. I would ask you to bless their families. I would ask you to give them peace. I would ask you to allow them rest when they need it. Allow them the multifacetedness of their lives to be able to be done to your glory. Again, Father, we bless the men and women in uniform. We ask your blessing and safety on their lives and their family. And we continue to ask that blessing on our community, Gloucester Township, this evening. We ask this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
The Township Council is being held in accordance with scheduled meetings of the Township Council, established and adopted by the Township Council with scheduled designated time, date, and place of the meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We use electronic amplifier and recording device to obtain audible and clear record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address correctly into the microphone. Recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office and shall be the official record of Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans? Here. Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mayor Merritt?
Here.
Mr. Moffett?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Present.
Mr. Cotomere?
Present.
Mr. Cardis?
Here. We'll have our first public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item items only, please raise your hand and come to the microphone. Mr. Kay?
Evening, Jim Ariel. Just a question on Resolution 11:5-135, which is concerning the general landfill. What block and lots are? I know I asked Mr. Cardis in an email, but Mr. Palumbo never got back to me.
He did. He sent you an email this afternoon.
I haven't. He probably did. I've been out of the house since this afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. I just came back from my grandson's baseball game, and came right here. So that's why I probably missed it.
I can go gather that information, bring it back for you. I don't have it handy.
Okay. I was just thinking if it was the ones at 700, 800, and 900 Hickstown Road, that's majority of the acreage.
My recollection, it was one block, one lot.
One block, one lot. Okay.
Rob Palumbo still here?
Yes.
You want to call him and maybe...
Yeah, you're looking for block and lot, correct?
Yeah, that's all. Just was the landfill that we had talked about with solar panels. I didn't know if we were reevaluating it for something else, and I was just curious.
You take another question and I'll...
Yeah.
Well, I can, if Chuck's out there, I'll run out.
Okay, if you want to. I believe he's still here.
Chuck is here. You must just stop down the office and knock on the door, I'm sure.
I'll just take a run down there then.
Okay.
Fine. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the first public portion. Proclamation.
National Missing Children's Day. Whereas according to the U.S. Department of Justice, in 1 year there were an estimated nearly 800,000 children missing. And whereas on average, there is an estimated average of 2,200 children reported missing to law enforcement agencies daily. And whereas 58,200 of these children were victims of non-family abductions and more than 200,000 of the victims of family abductions. And whereas the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children exists as a resource to help prevent child abduction and sexual exploitation, help find missing children, and assist victims of abduction and sexual exploitation, their families, and the professionals who serve them. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's recovery rate has grown from 62% in 1990 to 96% of domestically missing children, but too many children still remain among the missing. And whereas this special day is a time to remember those children who are missing and give hope to their families. Now therefore be it resolved that Gloucester Township urges the participation of local government, law enforcement, schools, community-based organizations, and families in the protection and education individuals about child abduction and sexual exploitation, appropriate protective measures, and ways to respond and seek help from law enforcement, social services, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Gloucester Township encourages all individuals to take 25 minutes to help children stay safer. Therefore, be it further resolved, May 25th, 2011 is set aside as National Missing Children's Day as part of Gloucester Township's continuing efforts to prevent the abduction and sexual exploitation of children.
Now have ordinances of first reading. Oops, I'm sorry, I've got minutes.
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of the April and May workshop.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second that.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
I'll say yes to the April minutes, but I will have to abstain from that because I was not to be here.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
I have to abstain from both April and May due to work conflict.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, with abstention on the April 25th meeting.
It's just a workshop.
It's just the workshop. Yes, to both. Mrs. Gentek?
Yes, and I abstain from the May 2nd workshop.
Mr. McConnell?
I abstain on April and yes to May.
And Mr. Bianchini?
Yes on April and abstain on May.
Okay.
Now have ordinances of first reading. Ordinance O-11-13. Ordinance amending Ordinance O-08-30, known as the Fire Safety Code of the Township of Gloucester. This ordinance allows the fire district to add multi-unit fees for inspection. Anything to add to that, Dave?
No, that's again, it's generated through the fire district's recommendation that these fees are competitive or comparable to the surrounding towns, and the fire districts requests the council to adopt these.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
I say yes.
Mr. Hutchison? Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-14. Ordinance amending Chapter 81 known as Vehicles and Traffic of the Township of Gloucester. This ordinance allows the township to add general parking requirements for the Gloucester Township Center, or Gloucester Town Center, and will allow our police department the ability to enforce it. To adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance 0-11-15. Ordinance to amend Section 10 of Bond Ordinance O-11-03 for the Township of Gloucester, which authorizes various general improvements set forth in the 2011 capital budget. This ordinance will allow the township to add Williamstown Road to the capital budget. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Now have resolutions of consent agenda. If any council person wishing to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now. Have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Resolution amending Resolution R11-0263 entitled Resolution Considering Application of BWW Jersey Wings Incorporated for person-to-person transfer of preliminary retail consumption license held by BCC Lice 1 LLC.
This resolution is necessary in order to add, change it from a person-to-person transfer, which should have been a person-to-person and place.
No, that's correct. This resolution has already been approved by the state of New Jersey ABC regulations. Just as you indicated, includes both person-to-person.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
143, resolution to amend the 2011 calendar year local municipal budget. Whereas the local municipal 2011 calendar year budget of the Township of Gloucester was approved on the March 14, 2011, and whereas a public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said approved budget. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, that the following amendments to the approved 2011 calendar year budget be made. General revenues, surplus anticipated, from $1,900,000 to $2,080,558. Total surplus anticipated, $1,900,000 to $2,080,558. General appropriations, appropriations within caps, utility expenses and bulk purchases, gasoline, from $398,700 to $550,000. Total operations items 8A within caps, $36,705,632 to $36,856,132. B, contingent. Total operations including contingent within caps, $36,705,632 to $36,856,932. Detail. Other expenses including contingent. $18,289,625 to $18,440,925. Total general appropriations for municipal purposes within cap: $41,250,260 to $41,401,560. Municipal debt service excluded from caps, interest on notes, $95,518 to $124,776. Total municipal debt service excluded from caps, $5,513,440 to $5,542,698. Total general appropriations for municipal purposes excluded from caps, $7,601,034.17 to $7,630,292.17. Total general appropriations excluded from caps, $7,601,034.17 to $7,630,292.17. Subtotal general appropriations. Items H1, $48,851,294.17 to $49,031,852.17. Be it further resolved that 3 certified copies of this resolution be filed forthwith in the office of the Director of Local Government Services for certification of the 2011 local municipal calendar year budget so amended.
Public hearing, just on the amendment.
We are now going to open it up for a public hearing on the amendment only of the budget 2011. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question. Roll call.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Carter, that is a resolution to adopt the amendment.
Correct.
All right, you also have permission to formally adopt the budget. We spoke with the Division of Local Government Services this afternoon. They have given permission. So I think they agreed that by title only, and that would be sheets 41 and 42, I believe, of the budget. So we're prepared to go ahead and adopt tonight.
With the approval, Proper Committee Affairs, with the Finance Board having been properly advertised and all, it is appropriate for you to go forward at this point.
Do we need a formal resolution, Mr. Solicitor?
You can actually move a resolution to adopt the budget as originally read and as amended this evening, and as commented on by the business administrator.
The resolution is actually part of the state budget document. It's in the back section.
So would this be Resolution 148?
Yes.
It's to adopt.
So I asked for a motion to approve Resolution 148 for the adoption of the fiscal year calendar year 2011 municipal budget.
Just for clarification, as originally submitted and as adopted by this amendment, or approved by this amendment.
Correct.
Seek a motion.
I move to adopt the calendar year 2011 municipal budget as originally read and as amended hereby this evening.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison? Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Item 44, resolution authorizing the soliciting of RFQs via the Gloucester Township website and advertisement for an energy savings plan.
As the title states, this resolution will allow the township to advertise for an energy savings plan. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
145, resolution rejecting bids for two 2011 pickup 2500 quad cab plow and authorizing the re-advertising of bids.
This resolution will allow Township to reject the two bids for the pickup and plow, as well as authorizing re-advertisement of those bids. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
I do have a question. How important is it for us to have these particular, how important is it for us to have this machinery? Is it something that we really, really need? I mean, while we're doing a bid for it, that's fine, but...
This was, Councilwoman, this was approved by the capital budget that we all reviewed and approved. That was discussed then, and I don't think, Mayor, anything's changed at this point, has it? Mr. Moffett, is there anything?
I'm just looking at the tough times we're facing, and I'm just thinking, but advertising bids, they come in with good cost, that I will say yes, but again, I just like to try to keep it as cost effective as possible. So I'll say yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginter?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini? 146, resolution rejecting bids for two 2011 vacuum street sweepers and authorizing the re-advertisement of bids.
Again, this resolution authorizes Township to reject the bids for the two 2011 vacuum street sweepers and authorize the re-advertisement of those bids. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question. Roll call.
Mrs. Evans?
Again, I will say yes, but again, how badly do we really need this? But I will say yes for the bids to at least try to see how much is coming. Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
I'd like to point out that we all discussed the capital budget at length. At that time, we all thought it was a good idea to need it. So I will vote yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginter?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
147, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester approving the FY 2011-2012 one-year action plan.
Resolution authorizes the Township to approve the fiscal year 2011-2012 one-year action plan. Tom, anything to add to that? Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans? Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginter?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Motions.
RA 1287, Gloucester Township Girls Athletic Association, August 16, 2011.
Motion to approve.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ginter? Yes. Mr. Mercado? Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of Council. I wanted to start by thanking the Police Department for their participation a couple weeks ago in Operation Take Back New Jersey. That is where our residents could deposit their old prescription drugs here at our senior center where our police department collected them. We collected over 255 pounds of old prescription drugs, and that's important for a couple of reasons. One, we're getting the old drugs off the street, but just as important is that typically will put them down the drain and it would pollute our water system, and so it's much better to collect them this way, and I thank the police department for participating in that. Also want to thank our environmental committee and public works for the creation of our community gardens. The Gloucester Township Community Gardens will be available this year at the Gabriel Davies Tavern, and we're going to again thank them for their participation in making that happen, and again us to be even more part of the Sustainable New Jersey program. Along with that, the farmers market, I would like to let you know, the announcement that the farmers market will again be held at our library parking lot, starting June the 18th from 8:30 in the morning to 1 p.m., ending October the 9th. Also want to thank the council for moving forward with the RFPs for the energy saving. This is the second phase in that process. As you are aware, we have completed our audit. Now we are in the process of implementing that audit, and this is that we have worked with the Black Horse Pike Regional School District and partnered with them as they have gotten their audit at the same time we've gotten ours. And so we'll be working with them to improve efficiencies, not only within our buildings, but also the Black Horse Pike Regional School District. Want to bring to your attention and invite council and the public to our K-9 graduation ceremony, which will be held at Timber Creek High School on June the 1st at 6:30. It'll be outside of the ball field, and we will be graduating two new K-9s for our police department, K-9 Arrow and K-9 Max. And as you are all familiar with, the death of K-9 Schultz has resulted in the addition of a new K-9, an additional K-9. We only had 3, now we'll have 4, and both Arrow and Max will be graduating that night. And lastly, just thank you for your assistance with the 2011 budget. I thanked Tom and Christy before, but I appreciate your support of that. Not only did we hold the line on taxes, but our appropriations for this year's budget were below the 2011 level. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have any GT Go access questions, so we'll now have a second public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand and come to the microphone. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. David Haig, Highland Village, Chestnut Glen. Council many times before this on the reserve base in Highland Village, Chestnut Glen. First, it's worse now, Mr. Mayor, it's worse now than it ever was. Our planners didn't work 5 roofs, right? When I spoke to you earlier this year, it's all trashed out. Public Works employee did show up, looked at it, never came back. You were told it was cleaned up. There's serious problem. It was not cleaned up. This reserve basin was built around, well, it's been there forever, but in the early 80s, this council approved the second builder to continue Highland Village, calling itself Chestnut Glen. It made that builder put a $50,000 bond aside for the reserve basin, streets, curbs, etc. Township engineer, and I checked who I called and all that, said RB wasn't the engineer then. So I don't know who it was, but it's a disgrace. It was not proved correct. There's no access for it. My feeling is when they saw it, they saw the MUA access and said, okay, it has an access for it. The MUA put a fence up. It prevents Mr. Massa from getting his equipment in there. His employee in 06, it stopped being maintained in 06, used to put boards up there and drive through the old access. That area is all damaged. Ms. Evans has seen that. That area is all damaged. The sidewalk is all cracked. Right? It's never been approved. What happened to $50,000? I don't know. It's a disgrace right now. You, Mr. Mayor's been there, Mr. Moffitt's been there. You would not want that behind you. My landscaper's getting tired of cutting it because it's getting harder and harder for him to get his equipment in there. I cut about 20 feet, 25 feet of township property. If I stop cutting, the rest of my fence is going to be this high. Quickly. Which, currently, that reserve basin violates codes 28, chapter 28, litter public places, chapter 37, brush weed and obnoxious growth, chapter 53A, flood drain prevention, which I talked to RV engineers in 2000 about it and they ignored me. I'll talk to you later about that, Mr. Campbell, if you like. Chapter 58A, height of bush. Chapter 67, peace and good order. It's an annoyance to the comfort of a person. Chapter 67A, property. I'd rather not contact the code enforcement officers. I don't think the police have to get involved. But it needs to be maintained. Disgrace. None of you, I invite all of you out there, Mayor or Gabrielle has my name, call me up, I'll you out there. Ms. Evans has been there. It's a disgrace. You would not want it behind your house. Anyway, guaranteed. The problem is the basin itself, how it's designed, how it Farrell's runs underneath 42. It's a safety hazard for kids because kids actually run underneath it under 42. Right? One day, one's not going to make it, and they're not going to be found for quite some time. It also, bring up canine shelts, was a major issue for your police force, certified police officer. It was a major issue for when canine shelts and your people were behind there because that's where they were searching. They had safety problems back there. Right? It's a safety issue. It's a hazard, and I'm sure if I call the state and federal EPA, you would find major problems back there. Right? Plus, what's living back there, I have no idea. I have an idea what's back there, but I'd rather not speculate on that. Black, about this high, right? It grunts. Okay. You don't want that type of species back there. Right? I haven't seen it fully, but I've seen it run through the woods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm assuming you'll, you and Mr. Moffett will address that with Mr. Campbell. Thank you. Anyone else? Joanne?
Joanne Carr, 50 Clement Drive. 3 weeks ago, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, so I watched it on live stream. And thank you for having that, because I do appreciate it. One thing I noted was some of you aren't leaning into the microphone. So you may be on the screen, but we're not hearing you. And other times when a person approaches, the mayor is willing to answer, but you don't come over to the microphone. So we don't hear the response. And in fact, sometimes I think it doesn't get picked up on the recorder, so Ro can't answer either if she doesn't hear it. One of the things I did notice with the live stream was there were commercials on it, and that surprised me. Does it cost us to have live stream?
Mr. President, I can answer that.
Yes.
The reason it has commercials is because it's a free service. If it was going to, you want me to get closer to you?
The reason we have the commercials on the live streaming is because it is a free service, and we just have to tolerate the commercials. If we would pay for a private service, we wouldn't have commercials. So it's actually less costly for us, of course, if we get something for free.
So we don't get paid for these commercials?
No, we don't pay anything for the
service.
For the service, that is correct. If we went with a fee-based service, we would have to use taxpayers' money to do that. Instead, we're not using taxpayers' money. It's free for us. We just have to tolerate the commercials that are on there.
Okay.
And I believe the commercials are on in the beginning or something, when you log on, and at the end or something.
Oh, no.
Like that.
They're on during the meeting. During an hour meeting, there were at least pop-up commercials. They were only like 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
But the meeting didn't stop.
Oh,
and what you were discussing didn't stop. But you got 30 seconds.
The decision, honestly, is to spend money to do it or to have it for free, and I would go with the free.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, one other. Excuse me, one other. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to say, how can somebody email a question while they're watching it? But you said you get that email gets answered the following meeting, correct?
Get an answer the following, or before that. Any questions we don't answer at the meeting, we will answer them, ASAP after the meeting.
Thanks.
Rager?
Yeah, Richard Edgar here. I went to the Assembly Budget Committee meeting they held at the college, and also I went to the Assembly and the Senate one. And I just want you to know, I about Gloucester Township, and what I bragged about was the 0% tax increase without any layoffs, without any loss of services, and I want to congratulate you and the mayor for having done it. Thank you.
Joshua Berry of Barty Acres Drive. First off, I had read a couple of days ago that Gloucester Township was selected as one of the best towns in South Jersey. So I want to lead off by saying good job not only to our government, to the people, but to many of the volunteers of many of our organizations that help our children and have a very good environment for our town. That's a big accomplishment. Everybody should be proud. 2 weeks ago, I had spoke about the email problem. I had gotten some very interesting feedback. There were some people that thought it odd that I would be close with the mayor, and some people who couldn't understand it. Just to clear the record, my job here is to enact good government. I don't care about party. I don't care about who your donors are, who your friends are. It's about getting what's done. So just to clear that record, it's about government. I don't vilify. I don't think people are evil. We just have to get the job done. That said, there have been a number of very wonderful improvements that I've seen when it comes to government. We've all talked about the access, the shared services, and the energy audits. They are a very good thing, but they are just a start. There is a lot of work left to be done to achieve our mayor's vision of having the best government in South Jersey. There are proposals and ideas that have been floated out there since at least 2004 by groups like the New Jersey Taxpayers Association, the Cherry Hill Reform Committee, the Citizens Campaign that I had shared years ago, the South Jersey Citizens for Property Tax Reform. These all deal with fundamental governmental reforms that we need to make. Things like having an energy audit to lower costs, yes, it's a good government policy, but it fundamentally doesn't change some of what drives up the cost of government. Why it's expensive here in New Jersey than in even our neighbors. Some of these issues are things that our legislature to do. Some of them are municipal changes. In the case of what our legislature needs to do, there's no reason why we can't do it ourselves, even if they fail to. And anyone who's been following our legislature or our previous governor knows how it is to get some of these reforms in place. They're not easy, I'll be honest, but there's no reason why we can't take a leadership role and do it ourselves. Over the next few weeks, myself and a couple of other people will be introducing a number of reforms that I hope all of you will embrace and work with us to pass. Those reforms are a complete ban on pay-to-play, including appointments and no-bid contractors. This is something that has been passed by over 100 towns over the last couple of years. Insurance reform, purchasing reform, us stopping unfunded mandates, that being that if the state or feds tell us, here's a bucket of money, but there's strings attached, we either tell them, A, no thanks. You tell me you have to do something, but you're not giving me the money to do it, don't do it. Part-time and nepotism reform, so we don't have employees of our town who think it's okay to lock their coworkers in cages because mommy happens to work on a board or hold a high position. Putting our full budgets online, including the receipts and invoices from vendors. Getting control of the GT MUA, and including your ability, Mr. President, to veto their meeting minutes. Getting even better transparency than the good changes our mayor has started, including expanding the online streaming to the workshop meetings and all of the boards. And finally, getting the email issue solved. Last time I spoke, you said that you would be meeting about that, and I haven't heard kind of update. So as a pragmatist, again, I know this is very hard to do. Sometimes it means you have to say no to your friends, and sometimes you have to work with your so-called enemies. But I challenge all of you to get these reforms passed by October 1st of this year. To the two of you who are not running for re-election, make this your legacy to the people of Gloucester Township. For the two of you who are running for re-election, make this your statement that you deserve not only my vote, but everyone else's vote and to return to office. Because I'm sure that there are full Republicans out there who will sign up to these and hear that there's an independent ticket forming who are chomping at the bit to go after both parties. Again, we want to be thought leaders. So even though some of these reforms have been around for a while and are being enacted, that doesn't mean that we need to stop at what's on the paper. On the pay-to-play reform, we can always make that better. We can make it stronger. Again, have the courage to do it. And Mr. Mayor is always big about the financial justification. A couple of weeks ago, State Senate President Sweeney had tried to close off the state health care benefits program to new towns. Right? Everyone had said, oh, well, this is tipping his hat to Connor Strong, which is owned by a party boss. Camden County College and Lenape Regional School each saved $2 million by joining this program. The college has only 450 employees, while Lenape has got 1,250. And so, one of the questions I have is, why did we go with Connor Strong and not this other program? And now I don't know if we would save $2 million, but imagine what $2 million could do to our budget. Instead of having a 0% tax increase, we might actually be able to have a decrease. So again, there's your financial motive. If we get in some of the reforms in how we get our insurance and take out the complete pay-to-play, these types of things may be easier. The perception is you make these reforms, you deserve to be voted back into office. So anyway, I see that my time has expired. I won't take up any more of your time, except to say that if you think you're going to get pushback from the state, from other towns, fight it. Let them come to you and say, this is too far, this is too much. I guarantee you will win in the press. You will win in the public opinion. I've heard of Steve Onigan. He earned his name by saying no to the gas tax was some 5 or 10 years ago. We have a governor now who supports reform. 2011 is our opportunity for reform. Not only do we have 4 of you up for re-election, but our entire legislature is up. None of them are going to stand in front of a microphone and tell you you can't enact good policy. This is your chance to shame them into doing what needs to be done. And I want our town, my town that I live in, that my children live in, to be at the forefront of having the best government in the state. Thank you.
Josh, actually, I'd like to respond one question. Josh, I mean, last meeting you did a great job. And I liked listening to much of what you said today. But I got to tell you, there came a point in the in your statement that you kind of took a shot at someone. And you lose your effectiveness when you do that. When you refer to somebody, you bring in somebody's mommy. I know the person you referenced, and that's very hurtful to somebody like that, and you got to be careful.
Well, Mr. Hutchison, maybe you're right, but when I read articles that we're being sued, which is again costing us money, makes our town look bad, because I don't have the quote with me, but it was that his mother worked for, I forget what role she had, he felt entitled that he could get away with whatever it was he thought he could do because of his family connection. That to me is insulting, I'll be honest. And if I came across as hurtful, then I will apologize in front of the camera and Sean. But as a taxpayer, and as someone who follows up on my town, it makes all of us look bad. There's no reason or excuse to have that kind of culture within our staff. So again, I'll do what the mayor called for. You're right. I was out of line.
Other than that.
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the second public portion. Calling of directors and council, please.
Mr. Malta?
Nothing to report at this time.
Mr. Lecter?
Thank you.
Chief Rowe?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Carter?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes, I want to thank all of our residents for coming out this evening. Community garden, I'm glad to see that is up and running over at Gabriel's Tavern. I know that when it first initially started with the former mayor, Cindy Berhatton, we come up with that idea of putting a community garden in Gloucester Township. And you're going to visit the one in Cherry Hill where I grew up. This is a very beautiful, beautiful garden, and I'm glad to hear that we have found a location for that at this point now. And perhaps maybe we can expand that over to the southern end of town. That was one of our goals, to have one on the northern end and one on the southern. So unfortunately, I don't serve on the Environmental Commission, but I'm glad that that legacy was carried on, and you guys are continuing on with that, and maybe it's come to fruition. I also want to thank. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. This is not happening. Well, I just wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow, anyone interested, speaking of Governor Christie will be in Evesham tomorrow, speaking more on reform, and anyone that's interested in going can check out my website, or they can look online, but he will be in Evesham tomorrow, and anyone interested in going, I encourage you to go. He has excellent town hall meetings, and I've been to a few of them, and they're just superb. So with that said, thank you, and have a great night. Mr. Hutchison?
First, I would like to congratulate the mayor, the administration, including the BA. I've said it a number of times. It's wonderful to sit up here and to make a motion to approve increase budget. I love it. I can hold my head high in town, talk to my neighbors. I thank you guys for what you put forward. Officer Brendan Moore. I'm continuously getting your updates. Most recently with respect to Senate Bill 2541, Assembly Bill 3602, which was supported by our Mayor, David Mayer, sponsored by Senator Madden, Assemblyman Paul Moriarty, which, if convicted of killing a police dog, you would be subjected to a 5-year prison term and a $15,000 fine. Very, very good. Very good. Josh, sorry I took a shot at you. As I say, but very informative. Very informative. Mary, you're a credit to this. I do have to say something. I've held my tongue far too long. Ms. Evans.
What can I help you with now? Let's do this. Why don't you wait and discuss it with me in the back? Because you like to seem to grandstand up here. Please do it.
I would ask that
something wrong, I'd like to discuss it with you in the back. And that would be the best protocol to do it, I believe.
Address the residents, Mr. Hudson.
Yes, sir.
Residents can't respond. I would just address your comments to the residents.
I wonder, when a council person sits up here and says to go to a governor's town hall meeting,
absolutely,
if that has anything to do with the fact that you accepted an $85,000 a year job, which was a politically appointed job.
Let him speak, please.
Let him
speak, please. Let him speak.
And I don't collect a salary on council either.
I'm asking you to let him speak. You had your turn. Let him have his turn. That's all, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Grabowski.
First, I'd like to thank the residents for coming out tonight and participating. I appreciate all your comments. Second, I'd like to also apologize. I did take on some added responsibilities with my full-time job, and I have been unable to attend recent work. So, again, just bear with me, but thank you for coming out.
Mr. Schmidt.
I would like to thank the residents for coming out this evening, and thank you very much for your comments.
Mrs. Gantek.
I would like to say that the community garden is a very exciting thing. We look forward to having the residents get involved with that. I also want to thank the mayor, because we hear so many times that
that things were discussed as the Green Team and Community Gardens with the last administration. But Mayor, I'd like to thank you because you actually let us, you actually put it to work, and instead of just using words. So I thank you for allowing the Environmental Committee and the Green Team to be able to move so quickly and to get so much done to help the residents. I'd also like to, May 11th at 6 o'clock, we're going to have another overview of sustainable Gloucester Township. They're going to give the whole, we're going to have a whole presentation to tell you exactly what that is all about. And if you'd like to get involved in the Green Team, we're going to tell you what that's all about. And volunteer. So we welcome all of you at 6 o'clock. Also, the Historical Society Tea is this Saturday, and I know we have tickets available. So if you're interested, Joanne, who would they call? Would they, Lynn?
They could call in.
Lynn Jakowski, and I know that there are tickets available for that, and you can taste some of my delicious tea sandwiches. And that's, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I say something, President Council? I just want to say that last year, that article for the community gardens was in the and we did try very hard to get some land for that, but unfortunately, it was at a standstill during our meetings, but we did try, and that article is still featured there. Thank you.
Mr. Mercado.
Actually, now, 2 years ago when there was a picture of you and Mayor Hatton next to the Meese Park.
Right, and the article you guys got was okay.
Thank you for coming out this evening. I want to bring your attention to a Resolution 11:05-137. That was the resolution of the Township in participation in a cooperative pricing agreement. Last Monday, I chaired the workshop meeting. President Bianchini was out of town, and prior to the meeting, I was reviewing my notes. And Public Works and Public Works Director had put out to bid equipment for Public Works, this purchase of a turf equipment. And by his participation in the cooperative pricing and purchasing system with Middlesex County, he saved the township $34,000 by inventory agreement, which did not cost the township anything, and we're the only township in Cannon County participating in that. And that speaks volumes because that is down from the top of the administration, from the mayor to the business administrator to the CFO to the directors that have helped put a budget together with a 0-cent increase. It's that type of mindset that we have in the administration. So, Mr. Moff, I applaud you on your efforts. Thank you very much. Also, thank you for coming out this evening, and enjoy your evening.
Mr. Bianchini.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the residents for attending tonight's meeting. For a little housekeeping, as everyone knows, the Board of Education, the Gloucester Township Board of Education, and the Black Horse Pike Regional School District budget was defeated. That means that budget must come for Gloucester Township in front of this council, and for the Black Horse Pike Regional School District in front of not only this council, but in front of Runnymede as well as Belmar. And we need to make some meetings to address that with those two school boards. As we always do, Tom Curtis, our business administrator, will take the lead, as he always does, since I've been on council, to comb through the budgets, to work with the business administrators of the two school districts, and to then make recommendations to the councils that are involved. I'm going to ask that a subcommittee of this council be formed to review those budgets with Mr. Curtis. I will be asking Mr. Councilman Mercado along with myself. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Evans to join us on that subcommittee, and that first meeting will be Wednesday, the 11th. As Tom got the dates and times together. Tom, it's on 6:30.
6:30 we will meet amongst ourselves to discuss the local budget. At 7 we will have representatives from the local school district
to review the budget and to review our recommendations. At 7:30, we will again convene with representatives of Belmore and Runnymede boroughs, and then at 8 o'clock we will meet with the three towns. We'll meet with representatives of the Blackworth Pike Regional School District.
So we will meet with those individuals as dictated by Mr. Hardis. I've also asked Mr. Parliament if it's within his schedule to join us as our counsel, as our solicitor, excuse me, so that we can review those Board of Education budgets, work with the Board of Education, and come up with a fiscally sound plan in reducing their budgets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bianchi, I'm sorry, President. I'm actually with the people on this one. I don't know if you may want to ask some of the other council members. I just feel as though I myself was one who voted against the budget.
I'm asking you, Councilwoman Evans, and if you're declining, then that's fine.
Yes, I'm declining.
So Councilwoman has declined, and I'll take another member after I first with the Council Vice President on that.
Mr. President, I got to ask. The Councilwoman has indicated that she voted against the school budget.
Yes.
She's given an opportunity to pare down the school budget.
I'm familiar with how these games are played with the local government. I'm familiar with how they're done.
He's talking to me.
I understand.
Let him talk to me. Let me talk to him.
I understand.
This is not a bantering session. I talked
My
about
name
this
is being
before.
brought up, and if my name is being brought up,
Please.
I'd like to
Let him finish, and I will answer the question.
We got Frank Malachi over there. I'm just simply saying that I don't choose to be on that particular.
That's what you said.
I'm with the people. They voted down the budget, and therefore I will agree with the people of Gloucester Township that I am voting down this budget.
Thank you, Councilwoman Evans. I asked you to be on the committee.
And I said no.
Thank you, and that's fine. That's your private.
Thank you.
Now, Councilman Hutchison would like to ask me a question, and I will let him ask me that question. I ask that you be quiet while he asks that question.
As long as my name's not brought up in it.
Thank you.
Rude.
Mr. Hutchison.
Rude.
Mr. President, I'm wondering if everybody on council understands that having their voice on this subcommittee is tantamount to having an opportunity to seek meaningful reductions to the school budget. Maybe not everybody on this board, this council understands that they have an opportunity to question everybody involved in the process to get the maximum reductions possible. That's the purpose of this committee. Am I
correct? It's our responsibility as
And may I
part of the process. Councilwoman, please.
Can I talk?
No, I'm just talking. I am talking.
Okay, as soon as you're done, may I speak?
I will let you speak at that point. There's certain decorum that you should be following.
You don't have to give me a speech.
No, you should. You can have anything you like to say, but be respectful.
And you too.
Be respectful.
You be respectful too.
Please be respectful.
I will be respectful as long as you will. I will give you the same respect you give me.
I give you a lot of respect,
Okay, then go ahead and speak.
and I expect you to do the same.
And vice versa.
I would volunteer to serve on this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. I would ask that we, again, Councilman Mikado and myself will review what we want to do on this, since he I will take your acceptance into consideration. Thank you.
Just by way of additional comment for members of the public, the function of the subcommittee is just to analyze and meet with the other towns to come up with an evaluation of the feeling of that two school budgets. The actual function is of the entire council to make a vote. So whether you participate on the committee or not, you will have a responsibility as a member of the council to make a determination on the final setting of the two school board budgets.
In the last 3 or 4 years, we have went to the committee system, and we come back to the council and had a good discussion regarding the budgets. Those budgets will be thoroughly reviewed, which is the expectation of the residents, and we will work with the Board of Education and their representatives to make that happen. Now, I will finish my final comments, as it is my turn to discuss make my comments. Again, thank you for all being here. I thank the mayor and his directors and his administration for, again, working towards a 0-cent increase on the budget, something that has been near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate the effort. And as the mayor and I have spoken, I expect that each year as we continue on, and I know the mayor does too. I also want to take a step and think about our country. Last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, we had a historic moment in our country. And I think sometimes we get bogged down to things and into this situation that we have here locally. But I think it needs to be pointed out that I still believe this is the greatest country in the world. I still believe this is the greatest state in the Union. And I still believe that our president did a great job in evaluating and moving forward with the elimination of a terrorist. I think if we think back on September 11th and how we all felt watching that, I think that it made us all proud to be an American. And I think that's what's important to this country. And that's something we need to be considerate of. And we need to remember those people that perished at the hands of someone who has no care about life. That's what's important, that we remember those folks. And more importantly, the men and women that are in our armed forces fighting so that we can yell up here, those people are the ones that are my heroes. The people that fought for my freedom, that allowed me to put my name on the ballot. That's what I think about. That's how I think of this country. People that fought in all those wars and now are still fighting and giving their lives for us. I think we need to take that and understand it and appreciate it. With that, I'm going to ask for adjournment.
If I could say something, because I let you be honest here. A couple things, real quick. Volunteering my services to serve on these subcommittees, please, before you do that, would you please in the future discuss that with me before you do that? Because I need to know what I'm being volunteered for before putting me up on any kind of board. Second, the reason why the residents, I am doing what I'm doing in this case is because many residents have come to me and have said, Councilman Evans, what's the purpose of voting down a budget if it's going to come back to council, council's just going to vote for it, and then the next thing you know, it goes through the process. So I am advocating for my residents. And that's what I am doing here. So again, in the future, when any of these subcommittees and boards are being brought up, I appreciate it if you would first discuss it with me, and that's all I ask.
So Councilwoman, I can ask you a question. So you're advocating your responsibility to help your residents in reducing this cost because you don't believe it will happen. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you guys can reduce the cost, that's great, but first of all,
is that
in
what
the
you're
future,
asking?
what I'm saying is in the future, subcommittee. Instead of putting me on the spot, please discuss that with me first.
I wasn't putting you on the spot. I asked for your service and you turned it down.
It was at the last moment. And in the future, you had to make a decision to get a subcommittee put together tonight. Is that correct?
And you couldn't.
Is that correct?
You had reasons to say.
Is that?
No,
because you were looking for your subcommittee tonight. Is that correct?
That's your opinion.
Is that correct?
No.
When did you want your subcommittee? Next week?
You could have told me later. If you didn't feel like you wanted to do it, you could have told me
I
later.
didn't like being put on the spot, and I don't particularly want to be on that subcommittee, so I did vote no.
I appreciate the people who want to serve.
But in the future, with me first, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll make that motion, Mr. President. I'll second that.
All those in favor?